What comes to mind when you think of the name Kramer? If you think lovable yet wacky sidekick to Jerry Seinfeld, who single-handedly destroyed his career in one night by uttering the most hateful racial slur you've ever heard, yeah, that's pretty accurate.
Said some pretty nasty things.
But you might also think of the guitar company, which would make more sense if you're watching videos on a guitar channel. I'm a guitar dork, and one thing that comes up on my dorky guitar channel consistently that I'm blissfully ignorant to is Kramer Guitars. I'm vaguely aware of them, but just because guys like Eddie Van Halen, ever heard of him, played arguably one of the most iconic guitars, let alone Kramer's, ever made during the glory of the Van Halen years 1982 through the early 90s. You'll see why you stopped playing them here in a minute. So that's what I have on the agenda today. We are going to try a Kramer. Now, if you are like me and like playing guitar but didn't really get into guitar lore until your late 30s, let me fill you in. Kramer was a guitar company started in 1976 by Dennis Berardi and Gary Kramer. Oh, that's where the name came from. Their initial concept was building boutique guitars with aluminum necks, something that is pretty difficult to do today, but even more difficult to do in 1976. So a lot of things happened, and then they started making wood guitars. The company changed hands, and I'm skipping over a lot here, but I want to get to the guitar. Eventually, the company went bankrupt in the 90s. They were actually sued by Floyd Rose, the famous tremolo manufacturer, over royalties. See why Eddie stopped playing them in the 90s? I told you we'd come back to it. You really should trust me more. By 1991, the company was bankrupt and had sold off the majority of its assets. However, Gibson saw this as an opportunity and acquired the brand in the mid-90s, and true to Gibson's business model, Kramer now focuses mostly on releasing classic reissues and suing other guitar companies. Just kidding about that last part, I think. And ironically, by focusing on reissued guitars, that means they are putting Floyd Roses on them. We've come full circle in this saga. So I'm gonna find a Kramer today that speaks to me in the way only an 80s hair metal band could. And what I mean by that is we're going to look for a used Kramer using the website from today's sponsor, Gear Exchange. Gear Exchange is an online marketplace that focuses exclusively on used gear. As a seller, you can get zero fees if you want to roll your old gear into a new purchase using a gift card payout. You can also save on shipping by using Sweetwater's negotiated shipping rates. They also share Sweetwater's outstanding customer service where you can call and talk to a real life person. And if you told me that was a perk 5 years ago, I would have laughed at you. But we live in the future, and not the cool future with floating cars. We got the timeline with AI chatbots instead. So thank you to Gear Exchange and Sweetwater for sponsoring this video. If you want to find your next guitar, use the link in the description. Speaking of that link, let's click it down there. Well, good morning there. Time to hop on the old Gear Exchange and see if we can find ourselves a guitar. I like guitar hunting, it's fun. Let's look for a Kramer. That's not what I meant to type. For those of you that are uninitiated, Kramer is to Gibson what Jackson is to Fender. That makes sense. Kramer is a Gibson-owned company, so I'm kind of interested to see. It's like their shred company, you know? And I've never tried a Kramer guitar, and I don't know. Everyone always tells me I should. So we have some Super Strats up here. Oh, this one has a D-tuna on it. That's cool. Look at it. Oh, that's cool. It's like the Eddie Van Halen D-tuna. And a Floyd Rose original? 1,000. That's got to be 1,000. Crooked pickup. This is a very vibey guitar. Very cool. Not exactly what I'm looking for. I'm really hoping I can find a V or like one of the, I guess it's an X shape. It looks like more like a K, not like an X, but you know what I mean. Oh, look. There we go. We have a V right here. This one's pretty cool. It just had a $204 price drop. Can I get a better picture of it though? Come on, dog. This is like almost like a King V shape, I guess. No pictures of the full guitar though. I would like to see the full guitar. This is just all these close-ups. Rust in Peace Alien Tech Green. That's a good color name. All right, this is the one I'm talking about, and this just had a price drop, and it is definitely in our budget here. $512.75. Used Kramer, Tracii Guns Gunstar. Tracii Guns of the legendary band LA Guns, I think. Am I a liar? Co-founder of the glam metal group LA Guns. Yes, okay, I'm not a liar. He looks less glam now and more like Duncan Trussell. And they're selling this one for $512. I feel like that's a pretty good deal. I mean, maybe. I don't know too much about these guitars. Look at this swoop on the back of the neck here. That's killer. Crazy big routes for the electronics here. 2 of them. Floyd Rose. It looks like a Floyd Rose 1000 is my guess. Probably a set neck. I don't know. That swoop though implies neck through. Does it say here in the description? Guitar's in good condition. Play well electronically, but the trem arm is missing. That's why it's $512.75, just kidding. They include a gig bag, maple neck, maple fingerboard. Not my favorite, but that's okay. Head turning glam, certified brute instrument ready to blah, 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 blah. Here we go. 3-piece maple neck with a 𝗦ci profile, mahogany body. It doesn't say though. Yeah, it's a Floyd Rose 1000. Epiphone Pro Bucker pickups. That's cool. I like the Pro Bucker pickups. 25.5-inch scale with 22 frets, jumbo frets. It's a set neck, nut width of 41.3 millimeters. That's really thin. And it's got a slim taper C profile, which I have played before on a Gibson, and they are very, very comfortable, fast necks. Let's do this. Let's buy this one, huh? move on with the video. Get this thing. Now on Gear Exchange, you can make offers, but I already feel like this is priced really well. Let's just buy it. And since it already has all my information, it's just literally 2 clicks and we're done. Bam, our order is placed. I'm excited, dude. This is gonna be fun. Okay, well, that showed up insanely fast. This shipped out 2-day FedEx. It was free shipping. This shipped out 2-day FedEx and I had it in 2 days, which is kind of nuts, you know? Especially like in the used gear market, because, you know, typically that isn't the case. So I just thought that was kind of cool. I don't think that's gonna be everyone's experience always. I just happened to pick this guitar. Look at this. It's not all of you know, but I used to manage a distribution center. And I can tell you, Pregis IntelliPack, very expensive packing material. Again, to like 90% of you, this means nothing, but as someone who used to work in retail distribution, I think it's pretty cool. So I'm very excited to check out a Kramer finally, because this is sort of like Gibson's shred brand. And what does that mean? I don't know, but I want to find out. And that's why I wanted to make this video. All right, I'm making a mess here, but let's see if I can unbox this for you, for your perspective. Do we have a dust jack? Oh, I can't. It's like one of these gig bags. Oh, but look, you can get a headstock. That's cool. Like you can see over here, I got the 80s hair metal amp out, because you know, we are dealing with an 80s hair metal guitar for sure. Oh, that's really interesting. On the back you have these Goto, they're not locking tuners, they're just normal Goto tuners, but look at this. You have your Allen wrenches and they actually tighten down here. I've had these where they're plastic before and you just push them in, but this one actually tightens down. That's super neat. We have a volute, depending on who you talk to, that's not technically called a volute. We're gonna call it a volute. Serial number stamped into the back of the headstock, just like Gibson would do. Really deep cutaway here. This shape's actually kind of cool though. You know, it's neat. What's up, you wonderful people? How are you doing? I have the Tracii Guns Gunstar here. This came out in 2021. Since this is sort of, well, not sort of, it's just literally a hair metal guitar. I have a hair metal sort of centric rig going on here. We're plugged into this Marshall Vintage Modern. I'm gonna be boosting it with this Tube King distortion pedal. It's off right now. That is going through this Boss Waza 2 amp expander to control the volume on this Engel standard cabinet. It's just, here, there's no reason for it, it's just here. Okay, now, it's important to note that I haven't done anything to this guitar. We're gonna throw it up on a bench here and address some of the issues, which is really interesting because this guitar is only 4 years old and there are some issues with it, even with it being such a young guitar. We'll get into that here in a second when we put it on the bench, but I just wanna get a feel for it right now so that way I know what things to address when we get there. That's why we're doing this. It's set up in E standard with 9s, I believe. Maybe a bit microphonic. Let's throw this boost in front because this boost also has the luxury of a noise gate built into it. I do like that these are 2 volume knobs though. That's kind of cool. It's neat. I don't use tone knobs. Do you use tone knobs? I don't know. Yeah, these strings are so incredibly like loose and slinky. I like a lot of things about this guitar. I have some concerns about this guitar. We might be able to address some of those, but there's only one way to find out. Let's get it up on the bench and see what we can do with it. There's a few preliminary things that I want to talk about with this guitar before we get the strings off. One of the things is I really like the headstock shape. I mean, I know it's kind of similar to the Jackson shape, but I like it. I think it looks good. I know that's not super exciting or anything. I just wanted to share my opinions on it with you. Now, one of the first things that I noticed when I put this guitar in my hands is what happens here, since the tangs from the frets actually extend to the edge of the fretboard, as the wood shrinks, it actually cracks. Like especially up here, you can see where it's cracked. And with Gibson, they call these cracks in the finish checking. And there's quite a bit of that going on with this guitar. We'll go into some of the other spots that's happening here in a second, but I just wanted to point it out here with the neck. The other thing is I do have a couple of frets that are a little bit high. Now, I don't think these frets need a full like recrown or dressing or anything like that, but there are a couple little spots I would like to take care of while I'm addressing this. I'm just gonna see if I can get out a file and file it down. Maybe try and reseat these frets too, see if they'll go back into the wood. But yeah, here we have some more cracks in the finish. If you've ever watched Trogly's guitar channel or are familiar with Gibson guitars, you'll know that this is pretty common. This one you can kind of feel with your thumb if you're way up here, but again, it's not super bad. And you can also see the neck shape here. We'll measure this in a second, but very flat up here, but like with this big volute, and then it gets thicker as you go up the neck. very similar to a lot of other Gibson guitars in my experience. But major differentiating features from other Gibson guitars is, look at this neck cutaway right here. I mean, this is deep. I love this. And then also we have the belly cut right here, which I think is a really nice touch. Just some cool things, but let's get the strings off here and let's take some measurements. Why is that in there? That's weird. I leave surprises for myself. One of the things I am curious about with this truss rod is like, what kind of truss rod are we dealing? Are we dealing with the nut like on a Gibson? Take this truss rod plate off and find out. Okay. Yeah, so it's made for a hex key just like you would see on most guitars. So there is the truss rod pocket. Let's adjust this neck so it's super straight before I try and do anything to the fretboard. I'm going to see, this guitar actually needs no adjustment. It's perfectly flat. The neck is perfectly flat as is, so I actually don't need to adjust it. I kind of want to adjust it though, just to see, you know, what's going on there. You know, I think probably if you are buying a used guitar, one of the things you should check first is the truss rod. And just to, yeah, there's definitely tension on it, so truss rod is in good working order. Yeah, and I'm just gonna adjust it slightly, but it doesn't really need it. Fine, it's perfectly flat. Let's get some measurements. So up here at the nut, we are at 42.4. Up here at the 12th fret, we are at 52.64. So it does widen up quite a bit by the 12th fret there. And there's such a big volute on this neck, I'm gonna have to actually measure this. The thinnest point looks like it's about right where the fret is on the first fret. So I'm gonna go on this side of the fret to measure it, and we are at 20.94, call it 21 millimeters, and 22.98, call it 23 millimeters up here at the 12th fret. And the thing I would say about this neck profile, it does feel round up here and like it flattens out a little bit, but not really much. The neck profile feels very, very consistent. Now in terms of the neck angle, the neck is straight, and the headstock does have a slight angle, but just barely. You can see some of these frets have buildup underneath them. It's probably from the glue that comes out and then it just collects dust and stuff over time. So I'm gonna see how much of that I can scrub out of there. But the maple fretboard actually looks very beautiful. It has a very nice grain pattern into it. I really like the way this looks. Let's get some pickup readings here for you. Okay, so on the bridge position here, we have a reading of 8.13. On the neck, we're at 8.04. And in the middle, 4.05. So a little bit surprising. I thought the output was going to be a little bit higher on these pickups, particularly the neck. When I switched to the neck, it started squealing through the amp. So, you know, I thought it would be a little bit higher of an output, but there you go. 8, 8, and 4 in the middle. It's worth mentioning that I've never tried this before, and I'm a total noob when it comes to resetting frets. So that actually went right back in there. There you go. That was easy peasy. I do want to tape this off though and file some of these sharper ends down a little bit because they are a little bit sharp and sticking out over the edge. I mean, it's still comfortable to play, but we're here. I might as well just address it now. And I think it's important to note here with this being a used guitar, you never know the condition of used guitars when you buy them, right? Was it kept in climate controlled storage? Was it in someone's barn? What kind of temperature and humidity levels was it exposed to? And what that's done to the wood, you know, what kind of wood it is can change too. And it just feels like this fretboard shrank a little bit, which is probably how we got this cracking in the finish up there. So, you know, it's not super surprising that these frets are like sticking out over the edge a little bit. Like I said, it's very slight, but it's worth addressing. I have this thing all taped off here. Now, if you're wondering why I'm going to such extreme lengths to tape this off, it's because I've never done this before and I really have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm gonna do my best. I'm just gonna follow some online YouTube videos. So if you are asking in the comments section, hey, why didn't you explain what you, that's why. I am not skilled enough to be comfortable giving a tutorial on this, but I am comfortable enough to potentially, you know, ruin these. I think it's gonna be fine. It's not gonna be a big deal. It'll be fine. But that's why this is happening this way. Okay, that wasn't too bad. Actually, most of that sharpness was just from the frets raising a little bit, probably just, you know, from the wood contracting and then the frets popping out a little bit, and just knocking them back down into the board took care of most of it, but I just thought I had it all taped up and everything, so I might as well go ahead and just go over the edges that were a little bit more sharp with a file, and then I cleaned it all up with some steel wool. So that's where we are now. I'm gonna go ahead and pull this masking tape off, and then we are going to clean this guitar up. I couldn't really get some of this stuff out from near the frets. It looks like glue and dust. It's just a little annoying. I tried scraping it out with the scraper end of my brush and no avail. The frets are much, much better now. Now the action on this guitar, I think this guitar was sent to me with 8s on it because I put 9s on it. Like I had to tighten the strings for the Floyd Rose. And with that, I had to actually raise the action a little bit because while I didn't have any buzzing with the 8s, which is crazy because this action was so low. I mean, I was at like 3/32 on the bass side in terms of action. Pretty crazy. So I did raise it a little bit when I put the 9s on to get all of the string buzzing out, and there still wasn't that much. So this guitar just, yeah, it's kind of insane how low I got the action. You can call the bass side 4/32 if you want. It's a little bit underneath, and then 3/32 on the treble end. Super duper low action. I'm not getting any fret buzz or anything like that, and the neck is virtually flat. Like it's just completely flat. I didn't have to adjust the truss rod much. Let's go plug it in, see what it sounds like now. All right, this guitar is playing really good. It was playing really good before, but it's playing really, really good now. But you know, I think there's something about this whole combination of things that is like not vibing together. I'm getting some weirdness, so I'm gonna swap out this Tube King. I know. You know, I try and change things up so I'm not using just the Devil all the time in every video, but it's really hard when you have a pedal that's built specifically to do all the things that you wanna do if you're not aware. This is the Devil from my company, 𝗦cie Audio. It is an overdrive / noise gate. You can find more information on this down in the description below. Everyone who watches my channel is very familiar with it at this point, so let's just go. Let's see if that helped. Yeah, there we go. This is more like it, man. Yeah, man, it sounds killer now, dude. It is voiced very much in that hair metal vein, but to be honest with you, there's not much difference in between that and something like Van Halen, for example. And you know, I think it's cool, man. I like it a lot. These are things I enjoy. You might be asking yourself right now,
Taylor, you're playing a hair metal guitar. Why are you playing black metal riffs?
Well, it might surprise you that a lot of prominent black metal bands actually take a lot of influence from hair metal bands. Go figure.
No comments on the current black metal movement or the musical directions that these
Because I basically don't know. I don't know and I don't care.
Oh,
When I'm at home, I don't listen to black metal anyway. So
what kind of music do you usually listen to?
80s heavy metal.
Speaking of the pickups, let's hear this on a clean-ish sound, as clean as I can get this. Here's the bridge. Make sure both volume pots are up all the way. This is the middle. And the neck. So much low end in the neck. yeah, this guitar plays really, really well. It makes me want to try out some other Kramer guitars. If you have any suggestions for that, definitely let me know down in the comments. But I've become more familiar with Gibson guitars lately as well. Like, I've played more Gibsons. If you're interested on that, pay attention to the channel in the coming weeks, months, because there's gonna be more Gibson stuff on the channel. You know, subscribe to that. Obviously, I'm a metalhead. I'm not gonna all of a sudden turn into a blues lawyer dad, but you know, I'm just trying to broaden my horizons and, you know, educate myself on some things that, like, I'm not as familiar with. Oh, we should probably check out the neck dive too real quick, huh? You want to see the neck dive, I'm sure. Now that I'm looking at it, this top strap button's a little weird. Now let's see if this thing, oh yeah. That's some of the worst neck dive I've ever seen on a guitar. It just whoop. You know, it's a light enough guitar to where it's not uncomfortable to play and to hold it, but that's just a crazy amount of neck dive. And where would you put the strap button? I think you would have to change this one, because this one, you know, you have such a big carve here at the back of the neck. It's not like you can put it right here. Probably this strap button up here would need to go somewhere closer to the middle of the guitar for it to balance and not have that dive, but that's a crazy amount of dive. All right, shout out to Gear Exchange and Sweetwater for making this video possible, but more importantly, shout out to you guys for constantly suggesting that I try out a Kramer guitar. I really appreciate all of you that leave me comments like that. It really helps out this channel a lot. If you like this video, make sure to let YouTube know by hitting the like button. If you really like what I do here on this channel, you can join these wonderful humans over on Patreon, where you get behind the scenes access and me walking around this room ranting to myself like a crazy person. I don't know why that's appealing to anybody, but if it appeals to you, you can join us over there on Patreon, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.